Hi, folks. You're with Tacitus today. Tacitus today, your pushback channel, and thank you for joining this audio live stream. In this essay, I'd like to talk about the ideological sort of recasting and expanded definition of certain words, if you like, seen as verbs by the activists. And one of those words that is on the directly at the front line and the fault line of the gender warfare, the gender conflict, the power between the genders, where straight white males are exercising their power over women, and they have to be put in their fucking Nazi place. So they're expanding the definition now. This expanded definition has been going for quite some time. Now, you and I may see rape as the penile penetration of a female with violent restraint, violent threat of violence, like holding a gun to the head, that sort of thing, and engaging in unwanted intercourse, sexual intercourse, and that is my understanding, or was anyway, of what rape is. No longer. The definition has been expanded and expanded again, and then expanded some more, because you and I see it as an act, an act of rape, but it's not seen that way by the ideological activists that are all over the legal profession now, on the bench as judges, as prosecutors, as lawyers, as psychologists, they're all in on this, and they're all captured by the ideological fanaticism of the social justice activist, and they perceive that the justice system must be used to correct what they ideologically perceive as social power imbalances. Now, a lot of the radical feminists believe that the mere act of even consensual intercourse is really an act of rape. She's been conditioned by the evil patriarchy to accept the penile penetration, in the sexual act, as being acceptable or normal, but really it's not. It's an act of violent Nazi oppression, rape, social power out of order, and so on. They see it that way. They see it very differently. Now, they're mostly lesbians that make these determinations, but nonetheless, that's their perception. So to you and I, it's rape is rape, but not to them. It's a gender conflict. It's the nuclear front line of gender conflict, and it's up to them, as they see it, to incorrect the social power imbalances, and they do that by throwing men into prison for really just being men, being straight heteros, so particularly straight white men. Now, there's a recent case, and I won't go into the fine detail of this, but suffice to say that some rather well-to-do party people, these people who can afford to party at the top end of town, lots of party drugs, lots of the most expensive alcohol, lots of the most expensive nightclubs, hanging around as a group, and so serious party people. Everyone's sort of sleeping with everyone else, and it's that kind of gig. And I've had a run with people like that in the past, those sort of people, and they party hard. What can I tell you? And they've got a lot of cash to splash, and they do splash it. So that's the sort of people that go along there. There are, mostly, not always, but mostly the men with the money, and mostly daddy's money actually, but mostly men with money, and a lot of girls who are hanging on as hangers on and groupies, wanting to benefit from the very expensive restaurants that they go to, the $500 bottle of champagne, and the cast-offs that these rich young men might have, and the exotic hotels, all these sorts of things. This is the princess life. A lot of these girls, women, some of whom also come from wealthy, privileged backgrounds. Nonetheless, they're more than happy to get horizontal in return for the $500 bottle of champagne benefits. That lifestyle, that ritzy lifestyle. I'm a princess, and I've always imagined, I deserve this, and so on and so on. So this is the sort of crowd that hang. Now, Rape's been expanded in two ways. One way is the what constitutes rape. So if you stick a finger up, up someone's ass, you've now committed what's known as digital rape, or up the front or the back, it's digital rape now. So if the guy does it, if she does it to him, then but if he does it to her, then that's digital rape. All she has to do is say, well, I didn't consent to you sticking your finger up my ass. Bingo, digital rape. Now, on the other side, they've expanded the definition of rape on the basis of being able to give consent or informed consent. So if she's drunk or she's taken party drugs or she's not feeling well or she's on medication or this or that, or she's suffering from depression or so, then her consent isn't legally binding or valid. So it can be, she can give consent and she can give 100 consents during the exercise, but legally it can be argued, well, okay, she said she was consenting, but really she wasn't. And so technical rape and this digital rape thing are reasonably big issues now, and it's just another way to play the gender power, social power game, and that's what it is. Let's be under no illusion here. That's only what it is. Should it be a criminal act of sticking your finger up someone's ass? Yeah. Well, if they didn't want it, or they said no, or they didn't agree, then you could argue, well, why were you hanging around with these guys? Oh, I wanted the $500 bottles of champagne. I wanted the ritzy glitzy and this, but I just didn't want that. That sort of thing. So, I mean, you could argue that, well, why were you hanging around with these people? You see what they do, the attitudes and views. Like, but I wanted all that money and I wanted all those good times. So, how you square that away in the overall scheme of things. But it's now a crime to stick a finger up someone's ass, or front or back, by the way, but stick a finger up someone's ass. Now, you can be in the middle of consensual sort of, a passionate kissing or something like that, and you're naked and you're rolling around, but if you didn't agree to the finger up the ass, then you can later on say, you don't have to say at the time, later on, weeks later. So, and that's now a serious thing. The Department of Prosecutions will go after it, court, even though it's a he said, she said thing. They want to prosecute. It's at the front line of gender warfare. They have to prosecute. Ideologically, they have to prosecute it. So how do these cases play out? Well, the key around it is, or one of the central things is, they say, well, okay, it doesn't sound like a big deal, finger up the ass. I mean, really? I mean, that involves a full court case where the penalty of someone is going to prison. I mean, you're kidding me, right? But no, that's not how they see it, and not how they present it. They present it as saying, well, this woman, the woman or the young woman who had the finger up the ass, she has been scarred for life. She will never be the same. She's a psychological cripple for all time. The wickedness of it. Men, straight men doing this to helpless with social power. And the lesbian is writhing on the floor in contortions at the thought of all this. So they bring a psychologist in, a psychiatrist or whatever, who said, no, she's that woman, she's been scarred for life. That finger up the ass, that's finished. Her life will never be the same, and so on and so on. Now, do they divulge in these court hearings that actually that psychologist that says the young woman, the finger up the ass woman, has been scarred for life? Do they present that and say, well, this woman, this psychologist is saying this young woman's been scarred for life. She's a radical. She's the most radical lesbian, activist that you could possibly lay your hands on. So they brought in this radical activist who bitterly hates straight white men, bitterly hates all consensual sexual intercourse. I mean, it's all rape. She's just an off the planet radical lesbian feminist activist. You bring her in as the impartial judge of how scarred and affected the finger up the ass woman is, and that's how they're able to box it in. They're able to turn. Now, you might say, what, somebody goes to prison for putting a finger up someone's ass? You're kidding me, right? But no, that's kind of how it is. because to you and I, it's a finger up the ass, which is, tawdry, vulgar, and excuse me. I mean, that's bad form, dude. A criminal offence. I mean, are you fucking kidding me? But to them, they don't see it as just a finger up the ass. It's social power. It's male men, straight men, their power over women, and we have to fight back and put those men in their place. How can we do that? By subverting the law, of course, and throwing the motherfuckers in prison. So you can get up to 10 years for this. Now, even where, again, the he said, she said, all this sort of stuff, where if they're even if you want to consider this a crime, did it happen, and was it delivered with the finger up the ass? Was it delivered with treachery and malevolence and anything dark and sinister like that? Chances are probably not. It was done carelessly with a bunch of party goers that partied hard with way too much money. That's what it really was. Would you sort of, is it a criminal offence? I don't think so. Maybe the young woman did get some psychological counselling. Should the guy pay for that? Well, maybe. I mean, there should be some sort of I don't know, accountability of some sort. Is it a full-blown court case with juries and now in certainly one case, and a lot of others, by the way, but look, it's amazing how they were able to get a non-impartial and very sympathetic judge to the feminist social power ideological cause. Any utterly impartial judge would have thrown it out, in my opinion, would have thrown that out. It never would have seen the light of day. But they're remarkably capable of finding. Firstly, the case when it comes in is given to activists, activist police officer, activist department of the police, activist prosecutor, activist psychologist, activist judge, and so everyone in the chain is an activist. But that's not considered an issue, though. I mean, who cares? The straight white fucking male, he deserves to be in fucking prison anyway. Okay, so what if it's just a finger? Well, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. We're talking social power here. We're talking ideological social power conflict, and we've got to put that fucking Nazi in prison. And it's that sort of attitude that pervades. And they don't see it as activism. They see it as they're just delivering justice. And so someone can go to prison for this, and prison for years, as I say, up to 10 years. Now, there's been numerous cases of did she give consent? Well, because after 2 glasses of wine, her consent is not legally valid. 2 glasses of wine in an hour, or whatever. So then the argument is, did you have 2 or 2.5 glasses of wine in the hour? Oh, you had 2.5 glasses of wine, but it was actually over 90 minutes. So that was that consent, and they'll dissect this to the the nth degree, just to try and get the guy on the boat. Okay, she consented, but really she didn't, and you're going to prison, you motherfucker. So these sort of things are all over I would argue, in my view, they're all over the legal profession now, which has been so subverted and corrupted by ideological social justice and globalist subversion generally, as we see in the United States. Although they're just trying to harass Trump and his policies. But it's now all over the Western world, and the area of rape, again, as I've indicated, expanded definition far beyond the original meaning, and it's being used to throw men in prison. Now, there's one case where the man in prison doesn't appear to be a very, very nice guy. Again, he's rich, he parties hard, and women are there simply for his amusement and sexual pleasure and so on. He's got no shortage of women flocking. He's a good-looking guy and everything, flocking to be with him because he's a wealthy guy. He parties hard, and they go to the very best nightclubs, stay overnight in the ritziest hotels, eat at the finest restaurants. Plenty of women, armies of women that are desperate to have part of that lifestyle. So he's got no shortage of takers there. Is he a nice? Would you want your daughter dating a guy? Probably not. But is he a criminal? No. he's just an asshole, but he's not a criminal. And he's a playboy, for goodness sakes. So But that's enough now. So when they're looking at, well, we prosecute this guy, was he straight? He's white. He's well-to-do. He's got money, and he's a bit of an asshole. Good, let's fucking get that guy, throw him in prison. And the effort and the time and the resources they throw at going after people like this is out of all proportion to whatever the crime or alleged crime is. You've been with Tacitus today, your Pushback channel, and thank you for listening.